Alright, hello ladies and gentlemen. Alright, this is a request from some of you guys. What I'm doing today is I'm doing some examples of solving equations. Alright, we'll also do one with some expressions. But I want to make sure you guys understand, I'm doing all the different ways we've talked about. Alright, there are some on here that you might not have talked about if you're looking at this during the weekend. If there's something that we haven't talked about, don't look at that yet. Just look at what we've talked about so far. We've talked about all these different steps. Well, then look at all those. There's different ones that we're going to go in there. I'll explain each one as we go along. Alright, so if there's any of these that seem like I'm going a little fast, pause it, rewind it, look at it. No problem at all. So, start with what we're starting with, solving equations. We are starting with one-step equations. The first type, addition or subtraction. 6 plus b is equal to 15. As we talked about before, we want to get the variable b by itself. Now, if you have any issues with doing any of these problems and you don't know the left and the right side of the equation, put that little line down the middle so you can figure out the left and the right side. For some people that helps out a little bit. Now, as we look at this, we're going to try to get b by itself. Well, the 6 is what's on the same side as b. In addition or subtraction, the way to get rid of that 6 is to make it 0. And the way we do that is we add the opposite. The opposite of 6 is a negative 6. So we're going to add 6 to this side, or negative 6 to this side. When we talk about equations, whatever we add to one side of an equation, we must add to the other side. So we're going to add negative 6 to the other side also to keep it balanced. Now, as we look at this, negative 6 plus 6 is 0. It's gone. All we have left is just this b, so we rewrite it. On the other side, you do 15 minus 6, which gives you 9. That's a one-step equation. Another one-step equation, multiplication. Negative 4x is equal to negative 24. When we talked about this, again, we're trying to get this variable by itself to figure out what x is. Again, you can write that line if you need to, so you know the left and the right side. But on the left side of the equation, we still have a negative 4 times x. What we do to make this 1x is to do the opposite operation of multiplication, which is division. So we're going to divide by this negative 4, because what we've talked about before is when you multiply or divide a number by itself, you get 1. And we want 1x right here. So we have to divide it by itself. If we divide the left side by negative 4, you divide the right side by negative 4 also to keep it balanced. So negative 4 divided by negative 4 is 1. So we get 1x. Negative 24 divided by negative 4 is 6. So we get x is equal to 6. Alright. So down here, x over 3 is equal to 6. As we look at this, what we're going to do is we have division now. Same idea as multiplication. We still want to get the variable by itself. But now, with division, we have to do the opposite operation, which is multiplication. What we're going to multiply by is that denominator. So we're going to multiply both sides by 3. Now, as we talked about before, you can multiply across. 3 times x is 3x. 1 times 3 is 3. And then 3 divided by 3 gives you the 1x that we want. We also talked about dividing diagonally. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so that's how you get 1x. On the opposite side, 6 times 3 is 18. So we now have what x is. X is 18. Alright, so from there, 2 over 3c is equal to 12. So 2/3 c is equal to 12. Now, when we talked about solving these, what we looked at, when you have a fraction, multiply times a variable. To get just this 1c, we have to multiply both sides by the reciprocal of that fraction. Because that's one of the things we talked about. So anytime you multiply a fraction times its reciprocal, you'll always get 1. We want 1c. So if we multiply the left side by 3 over 2, we've got to multiply the right side by 3 over 2. And we'll make that 12 a fraction also. So as we go through, 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 3 is 6. And that gives us the 1c we want. Or you can divide diagonally. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So we get 1c. Over here, multiplying across. 12 times 3, 36. 1 times 2 is 2. 36 divided by 2 is 18. There you go. So those are 4 examples of one-step equations. Now let's move on. So the next thing we're going to work on, two-step equations. With a two-step equation, same idea as before. If you want to put the line down the middle, the idea is still the same. We're still trying to get x by itself. That doesn't change. All right? But with the two-step equation, the 2 rules. First one is move anything being added or subtracted to the variable first. In other words, anything being added or subtracted needs to be made 0. All right? So as we look at this, on the left side of the equation where the x is, you have 6 being added on to x. So we need to make this 0. We do that just like we did in one-step equations by adding the opposite. So we're going to add -6 to both sides of this equation to keep it equal. -6 plus 6 is 0. It's gone. We now have a -3x. That's what's left over. That goes down here. Over on this side, -21 minus 6 gives you a -27. All right. So, at this point, the second rule to a two-step equation is solve whatever one-step equation you have left. Well, we have a multiplication. Well, to get x by itself, to get 1x, we're going to divide both sides by the coefficient in front of x. We divide both sides by -3. -3 divided by -3 is 1, so you get 1x. -27 divided by -3 is 9. All right? So we now figured out what x is. X is equal to 9. And the second one we have here, x over 4 minus 8 is equal to -5. As we look at this one, same basic idea, except for now I notice we have division there. Doesn't change what we do to begin with. Anything being added or subtracted to the variable we look for first. So again, if you want to put that line, put that line. What's on the same side as x? Well, -8. You need to make that 0. So you're going to add 8 to both sides. 8 and a -8 is 0. So we have x over 4 left over. And over here, -5 plus 8 is 3. All right. So at this point, we do what we just did earlier with division. Well, you have division here. We're going to do the opposite operation, which is multiplication. So we're going to multiply both sides by that denominator. So we're going to multiply both sides by 4. 4 divided by 4, 1. We just get the 1x that we want. And 3 times 4 is 12. There you go. So you have x is equal to 12. Alright, so we've done 1 and 2 step equations. Now, this is an expression. I want to talk about expressions really quick. Expressions. Okay? When we talk about expressions, there is no equal sign. What we're trying to do with this is we are just trying to simplify it. And we talked about our like terms today.
Kyle Kelso, if you're in the building, please come to the front office at this time. Kyle Kelso, I need you to come to the front office at this time. Thank you.
So, as we look at this, what we'd like to do here is look for variables with or terms that have the same letter and the same exponent. So if you look at this 6D, the only term with the same letter and same exponent is the 3D. And what we do is we combine the coefficients. So 6 plus 3 gives you 9, so that's how we get 9D. Along with that, we have a -1e here. What that combines with is the -2e. So -1 and a -2 gives you -3. So 9d minus 3e is the answer to that one. This is combined. This is as far as you can go. There is no equal sign, so that's all we can do. Here, same idea. 9c, well, that goes with the -13c. Combine those to -4c. The -4 and the positive 6 are the like terms there. Combine those to get 2. The simplified expression is negative 4c plus 2. Alright. So, that takes us to our problem over here. Same idea as before. Know the left and the right side of the equation. So our new rule here, if you have any like terms on the same side of the equation, you need to combine those first. So that's our new rule here. So with this one, 2g, negative 9g, those are your like terms. You can't combine the 12 and the negative 23 because they're not on the same side of the equation. So it's just the 2g and the negative 9g, which gives you negative 7g. Then plus 12 equals negative 23. You are now down to a two-step equation, like we did before. The opposite of the 12, which is negative 12, to both sides of the equation. That's 0, so you get negative 7g is equal to negative 35. At this point, again, regular old one-step equation. Doing division, divide both sides by negative 7. G should be equal to 5. So, that's a like terms type problem. Over here was one of the fractions when we did in class. I'm going to do another one. So, we don't like that fraction, so we're going to get rid of it. The way we get rid of it is we have division here, we're going to do the opposite, which is multiplication. And what we multiply by to get rid of the denominator is we're going to multiply by that denominator. So we're going to multiply both sides by 4. This will get rid of that 4 because we divide. 4 divided by 4 is 1. So we end up with just 2x minus 6. Alright, and then negative 7 times 4 is negative 28. At this point, you're down to a two-step equation again. If you need to put this line. Add 6 to both sides. 6 and negative 6 is 0, so you get 2x is equal to negative 22. At this point, one-step equation. Divide both sides by 2 to get x by itself. X should be a negative 11. That's a 1 there. Okay. Alright, so on to the next one. The next one. This is the distributive property problem. Alright, so with the distributive property, your new rule is to simplify parentheses first. That is your first rule. Simplify any parentheses. So, here, we multiply 5 times each term inside that set of parentheses. Multiply 5 times each term inside that set of parentheses. So 5 times 3x is 15x. 5 times 12 is 60. And that's all equal to negative 15. As you look at this, now what we have is we have a two-step equation again. So what we'll do at this point, add the opposite of 60 to both sides. That's 0. Then 15x is equal to negative 75. And at this point, you have a one-step equation. Divide both sides by that coefficient in front of that x. So x is equal to negative 5. If you have any questions about how we did this, ask me in class. All right.